StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves everyone, especially you, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Then we put all of it together into one bundle, one package, one framework, one mindset, one philosophy, one approach. We have codified this entire system, laid it out in several different books, and broke it down in frameworks inside of frameworks. All of this under one big umbrella that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why you want bigger problems. Yes, you heard me correctly. You have problems right now in your life. I'm sure you got some kind of problems going on in your life right now. I'm here to tell you that the problems that you have right now, you don't want those. You want bigger problems. You want problems that are actually more challenging than the ones that you have right now. And today I'm going to explain to you why that is, paradoxically, why you want bigger and more problems than what you have right now today. Now, before I get into explaining that, let me tell you that I have a text message line where you are going to text me. You can text me at any time while you're listening to this or afterward, once you had a chance to digest and marinate on what you heard here today. You're going to tell me the best thing you got from today's masterclass. Tell me how you're going to think different or act different based on what you heard here today. My number is 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. Tell me the best insight you got from today's class. And once you text me, not only will you be able to engage with me there, because I take time every day to go through my texts, you will also receive my daily motivation text message, which I send out every single morning. If you know anyone who's on my text community, already, ask them about the daily motivation text. Just ask them to show you your phone. Like, just say, show me your phone. Let me see the daily motivation text Dre sends out every day, because they had their phone with them, right? Let them show you some of the texts that I send every single morning. If you want that completely free of charge, all you got to do is text me. My number is down below, again, in the show notes, 305-384-6894. Now, this topic of why you want bigger problems. First of all, we talked about problems many times here on this show because, listen, if you're a person who's in the space of thought leadership, especially something involving mindset or personal growth, personal development, there are problems that come along with that. So people have brought to me and shared with me problems that they've been dealing with or asked questions about problems so many times over the years, which is why I've talked about it so many times over the years, because I'm giving the people what they want. So I told you in episode 1343 how you can solve the problems in life and add value. I told you how in episode 1172, your biggest problem is probably the fact that you do not have enough urgency, your lack of urgency. In episode 1116, I told you that the problem is never the other guy, the problem is always you. And I explained why that is. In episode 1049, I told you that there are no unsolvable problems. There is not a single unsolvable problem that exists on this planet. In episode 793, I told you that the problem is not the solution. In other words, what caused your situation is probably not the same thing as going to fix it. In episode 789, I told you that you are your biggest problem. In episode 781, just a week before that, I told you that if you keep having the same problem is not the problem is you. In episode number 769, I told you too much confidence is not your problem. Episode 767, how to promote yourself by solving problems. In episode 570, the real problem is that you don't know the real problem, which is why you keep running into walls because you're solving the wrong issue. Episode number 541, I told you a problem-solving technique, which is to go to the source of a situation. In episode 471, I told you your only job in life is to solve problems and then start charging money for it. In episode 267, fake problems versus real problems. Episode 249, how to see possibilities within your problems. Episode number 204, going over the top of a problem. Episode 1918, just a couple weeks ago, why you keep having the same problems over and over again. And I'll stop there. I got so many episodes on problems. I'm not even going to list them all here. That could be the entire episode, but that should be enough of a primer that maybe one or two of those will get you started. But anyway, today we're going to talk about why you want to have bigger problems in your life. Again, this may seem like a very paradoxical topic. Why would you want to have bigger problems? Don't you want to eliminate and solve problems and not just get more and bigger problems, right? Why would you even want that? Well, let me explain it, and I'll tell you exactly why. You'll understand it. Point number one. Topic again, why you want bigger problems. A problem is merely a passport to a new level. I want that one to sink in there, so take a moment to think on that one. A problem is just a passport to a new level. That's the way that I want you to start looking at problems in life. I'm gonna write that one down, because that one I can build on that idea and use that in some future material. I'm gonna post that on social media, as a matter of fact. And let me write it down right now. See, sometimes I even say something that gives me an idea. When it's time for you to ascend in life, you will face a challenge that you have to beat. That's the way it works. Every time you have advanced in life, and usually it's not on your schedule, it's just on life's schedule, or the schedule of whatever higher being you believe in. When it's time for you to move up, you will face a challenge that has to be defeated. You might be facing a challenge right now. You might have one coming up. You might have just got done dealing with one. It's just like a sports team or an athlete who wants to win the championship. You got to go through the current champion in order to get to the title. All right, you want to be the champion, you got to beat everybody. As we talked about a couple days ago, when back in the day when I used to play video games, I don't know how it is now, when you got to the end of a level in any kind of fighting or combat game, you had to fight against the big monster or the big boss at the end of that level. And if you didn't defeat that big monster or big boss, what you had to do? You had to go back to the beginning of the level, and you had to go through the whole thing again in order to fight the big boss again. And until you beat the big boss at the end of the level, you did not qualify to move up to the next level. That's the way that it works. That's the way it works in video games, and those video games were imitating life, because that's the same way that it works in life. In order for you to become the champion, you got to beat the current champion. You got to go through whoever is in your way. It doesn't just get handed to you. And if it does get handed to you, then did you really win? You probably don't even feel like you really won if it got handed to you, because you didn't have to earn it. You didn't have to go through anything to get it. In the business world, to elevate the level of your business, what do you have to do? You got to deal with some new challenges. You got to solve a bigger problem. As they say in business, if you want to make $1,000, solve 1,000 people's problems. You want to make $100, solve 100 problems. You want to make $1, solve one problem. You want to make $1 million, solve 1 million problems. All you need to do is find a problem and solve it. And ideally, if you want to make more money, find a problem that a lot of people are having. You find a solution to it, let a lot of people know about it, and they'll go get it, and there's your money. Now, if you want to make, it doesn't even have to be for a whole lot of people. You find a really big problem for a niche group of people, you can just charge them more money to solve that problem. So the problem of, let's say I want to eat some potato chips. All right, you can solve that problem for me. It might cost me $1 to buy a bag of potato chips, and you sell $1 million $1 bags of potato chips. You're good. Factor in your costs and all that. We'll see how much you got left. But let's say I got a bigger problem, like I got a serious health issue or some possibly terminal health issue. I might be willing to pay more than $1 for you to help me solve that problem. So you might not need to serve 1 million people with that solution. You might only need to serve 100 or 1,000, because I'm willing to pay a lot more money for the solution to that possibly terminal health problem than I'm willing to get the solution to my need or want or my urge for a bag of potato chips. So all you need to do is find a problem and you solve it. That is how you elevate yourself, and it depends on how many people have that problem and or how important that problem is to people, how much they're willing to exchange for your solution, and that's how you elevate yourself. And this is how it works in sports, how it works in business, how it works in life. The next problem, the bigger problem that you solve, is your passport to getting to a new level. So if you feel like right now that you're at a level that you have not ascended in a long time, you feel like you haven't really moved up in a while in levels, let me tell you why you haven't moved up. It's because you have not solved any bigger problems than you were solving before, or you haven't solved the same problem in a bigger way. You could take one single problem and just solve it the same way over and over again for a long time. It's just a matter of how many people are you helping with that solution. So for example, I don't know what it is these days. I don't often chewing gum, but back in the days you could get these chewing gums for like 25 cents. It was spearmint, double mint, big red, and it was one other. It was like 4 different gums, and they would come in these packs of like 5, 6 of gum. I remember double mint was green, the spearmint would be white, the big red was red, and there was another one that was maybe blue or green or something like that. And those 4 gums each cost 25 cents a pack. Who knows how much they cost today? Maybe they cost $1 today. But I bet whoever created those gums, I think it was Wrigley's was the name of the company that created those gums. That company probably does millions of dollars in business a year. So it's not that you need to find some one problem that's like $1 million a hit, $1 million each time issue. It's just that Wrigley's, the company that made that gum, all they need to do was make sure that they got the word out about their 25-cent solution. They just need to get their word out to millions and millions of people so everybody can go get it, and that volume starts to add up. So it's not like you have to find this huge, amazing problem, curing cancer. You could take a little small problem, but you just got to make sure you do it in volume. So all you got to just do is the math on that, and you can figure these things out. But to ascend to a new level, you got to solve a bigger problem or solve a problem for more people, one or the other. Ideally, you do both. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is why you want bigger problems. Solving bigger problems grants you a higher leadership status. So not only is it a passport to the next level, whatever next level means for you, it also puts you in a higher status when it comes to your leadership, meaning you have more people looking up to you, more people listening to you, more people wanting your help, more people wanting to model after your success. Leaders are naturally problem solvers. You cannot ascend to a position of true leadership in life unless you have solved some form of problem. I'm not talking about being a boss. A boss is a title that is granted to you, meaning when I got hired at Foot Locker out of college, I had never worked at Foot Locker before. The first day there, I was being paid as an assistant manager. Technically, there's only 2 people who were above me, so to speak, in the hierarchy there were the 2 main managers, a guy named Keith and a guy named Jay. Everybody else was technically beneath me, even though they knew a lot more about Foot Locker than me. I had a boss status, even though I did not have any of the credentials. I didn't know how to work the system. But I didn't become a leader there until I learned the system, and I learned how things worked, and I learned how to work the cash register, and I learned how to check in all the manifests and the shipments that would come in, the boxes of sneakers that would come in all the time. Until I learned how to actually do the job, I wasn't really in a leadership position. I was in a boss position, which was granted to me. A leadership position is earned, and there's a big difference between the two. So leaders are problem solvers. Once you solve problems, then you become a leader. In the business world, problems are usually handled in order of status. What I mean by that is this. If you call the customer service line of a company and you have some issue that you want them to solve, and the customer service person who answered the call, the frontline person, if they cannot handle your issue, what do? Usually they all use the same language. They will say, well, listen, sir, I can't solve this issue here on my level, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to escalate this issue to someone above me. I'm going to escalate this issue to a supervisor. I'm going to escalate this issue to my manager, and they're going to get on the call. Just hold on 1 second. I'm going to transfer you. Now, has anyone ever had that conversation before? Of course, we all have. So what are they doing? That person who couldn't solve the issue, they escalated it to someone who is above them in leadership, who hopefully they can solve this problem because the frontline person couldn't solve it. And that issue will continue to travel up the chain until what? Until the issue gets resolved by someone who it's within their abilities to solve that situation. The bigger the problem that you can solve, then the higher your status as a leader. Now, someone who's on that frontline level, they can start solving problems that usually get escalated. Let's say there's 10 customer service frontline people working at a company, and 9 of them, when they get a certain problem, they all escalate it up to a supervisor. But there's one of those 10 frontline people, when they get that same problem, they don't escalate it. They're able to solve it on their own. Now, as long as the company is paying attention, as long as they're recording calls and monitoring calls for the purpose of training and no further enrichment, like it says whenever you call somebody, this call may be recorded or monitored for the purpose of training. As long as they're actually doing that, they should be taking notice. Like, hey, this one person, everybody else escalated that issue, but they're able to solve it. Every time they're able to solve it, but everybody else needs to escalate it to somebody else. You know what? We need to elevate this person and bring them up to a new level so that when everyone else escalates that issue, now that person will get on the phone and they can go ahead and handle it. And this is exactly how it works in all of life. The bigger the problem you can solve, the higher your status as a leader. Now, if you happen to be that 1 out of 10 frontline people who keep solving a problem that nobody else is able to solve on your level, and they don't elevate you and they don't recognize you and bring you up to a new level, then you need to leave that company and go find somewhere that you will actually be valued. But in any team in life, the biggest problem solver is the leader. The biggest problem solver in any team is the leader. The biggest problem solver in a family is the leader. The biggest problem solver on a sports team is the leader. And in any team, the pecking order goes based on who can handle what. So the frontline customer service person, They can handle frontline type of issues. Then anything they can't handle, they send it to the next wave, the next level of supervisor. If they can't handle it, they send it to the next level of supervisor. They can't handle it, they send it to the next level. But each level, as it goes up, there's someone with a little bit more status, probably a little bit more resources, a little bit more knowledge, and maybe ideally, or not even ideally, theoretically, a higher level of competence. Now, is that always true? No. That's a whole different conversation about the bureaucracies of big companies. But theoretically, this is how it's supposed to go. That each level that you escalate an issue up through, you are dealing with someone with a higher level of competence and thus a higher leadership level because they have more abilities. Now, again, it ain't always like that, but that's the way that it's supposed to go. That's the way it was designed to go. Now, human beings, we get involved, we go and screw things up and mess it up as soon as you get humans involved. But computers and no theories, they're always perfect. On a relay team, for example, if you ever watch a relay race, running races, usually the fastest runner runs last, the anchor leg of the race. Why? Because their job is to seal the deal and finish that race off. So if we're winning, make sure we maintain the lead with our fastest guy or girl. And if we're losing, let's send our fastest person out there to try and catch up and close the gap. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is why you want bigger problems. Life is a series of problems to be solved. That's it. In the book called, what was the name? I just had the name of the book on the tip of my tongue. I believe it was The Richest Man in Babylon. In this book, there's a saying that goes just like this, is that life for a person who is a victor in life, a winner in life, they just see life as a series of problems to be solved, whereas someone who sees themselves as a slave in life, or in other words, see themselves as a victim mentality, they say to themselves, well, what can I do? I'm only a slave. What am I supposed to do in life? Victims see themselves as subject to their circumstances, whereas winners see themselves as masters of their circumstances. You got to ask yourself, which one are you? A bigger and better life equals bigger and better problems to be addressed. Repeating that one. A bigger and better life means you have bigger and better problems to be addressed. The saying is, you are either just coming out of a problem, you are in the midst of a problem, or you are on your way into a problem that you may or may not know about. The only people that do not have problems, everybody, are dead people. All right, anyone who doesn't have a problem has a funeral. If you want to level up your life, then do not look for less problems. Do not look to eliminate problems. What you need to look for are more and bigger problems. This is how you move up. This is how you elevate yourself. This is how you promote yourself. This is how you get promoted in life. I don't mean promote like sell yourself in marketing. I mean promote as in you move up from level 1 to level 2. You want to move up in levels in life. Do not try to not have problems. All right. If you want to not have problems, all right, you be dead. Okay. And there's suicide prevention lines and all that for anyone in that situation. But if you want to actually move up and be at a higher level and play the game on a higher level, you need bigger problems. You need better problems, and you need to address those problems. Look at those problems again, remembering, like they said in Richest Man in Babylon, it's just a series of issues and problems and issues to be solved, to be handled, to be addressed. And remember that there are no such things as unsolvable problems. I told you that in episode 1049. There is no such thing as an unsolvable problem. There are just people who are incapable of solving certain problems. So they got to pass that problem off to someone who is at a higher level of leadership and playing the game of life on a higher level. Thusly, they can handle the problem, whereas the other person cannot. But there's no such thing as a problem that can't be solved. Just people who can't solve them. Let's recap today's class, which is why you want bigger problems. Point number 1, a problem is a passport to a new level. When it's time for you to ascend in life, you will face a challenge that you have to defeat. Just like a sports team or an athlete who wants to win the championship, they had to beat somebody who has already won the championship, someone who's already in their way. They are not going to hand you the championship or hand you a trophy. You got to go take it. In the business world, same thing. To elevate the level of your business, you got to deal with some new challenge, whether that's solving a bigger problem or solving the same problem for more people. Point number 2, solving bigger problems grants you a higher leadership status. Leaders are naturally problem solvers. In the business world, problems are usually handled in order of status. So if the frontline person can't handle it, they escalate the situation to the next person. Escalate it, and it keeps going up until it gets to someone who can handle that issue. In a relay race, the fastest runner usually goes last to either seal the deal or to come back from behind and win the race. But they want to put their best person out there to finish the deal off. Point number 3, life is a series of problems to be solved. So a bigger and better life, in other words, means you need to solve bigger and better problems. The saying is you're either just coming out of a problem, going into one, or on your way into one. The only people who don't have problems are people who are dead. So do not look to not have problems. What you need to look for are bigger and better problems than the ones that you have right now. That is how you move up in life. It is a paradoxical way of looking at things. And this is the reason why many people do not elevate in life, because they're trying to do the exact opposite. So they're actually sending themselves backwards rather than moving themselves forward. But that's why the Work on Your Game show is here to set everybody straight. Now, if you want some direct help, some direct coaching, you want to join the mastermind where you'll be working directly with me and get coached by me one-on-one, this is the only place and the only way that I offer coaching is in my 3rd-day mastermind, which is part of Work on Your Game University. You can go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, click on the button there that says join the mastermind. You fill out a quick form. You can get on a Zoom call with me free of charge. We talk about where you're at, where you want to go. I'll tell you if I can be that bridge, and I'll make you an offer of how I can actually help you do that. If you're interested in that, again, that's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Aside from that, send me a text message. You can also ask me for that link in text. My number is 305-384-6894, where you can tell me the best insight you got from today's class, and you'll be on my daily motivation text message list. Work on your game. Dre all day.